and welcome to episode 97 of the Noble Character Crafts podcast. My name is Amy, and I am coming to you from eastern Nebraska, where I live with my husband and our 5 children. Today is Monday, July 13th, 2020. This is a podcast all about my crafty life, and today I have knitting, crocheting, and a little bit of embroidery to share with you all today. A huge welcome to any new or returning viewers. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you really enjoyed this episode. You can find me online on Instagram at Noble Character Crafts, and you can also get in contact with me through my email at noblecharactercrafts@yahoo.com. I will have links to the places that you can find me in the description box below, as well as the show notes for this episode. I am currently hosting a make-along over on Instagram, which is called the Make 9 2020 Mal, and that is for you to join in the Make 9 challenge, where you choose 9 projects that you would like to make throughout the year 2020 and post a grid of those projects on Instagram and include the hashtag Make 9 2020 Mal so that you can be entered to win a prize that I am drawing periodically throughout the year. I'm drawing several different prizes. And if you just participate in this make-along, you'll be entered to win a prize. So all you have to do is, again, post a grid of the projects that you would like to make, and then whenever you post a picture showing the work that you're doing on those projects, or if you ever finish an object, you can certainly include the hashtag again on that post, and then every entry is an entry to win a prize. So it's not too late because this is a year-long make-along. WIPs are included, so even if you have 9 works in progress that you would like to finish up this year, go ahead and include those in your board, and that would hopefully just be an encouragement for you to focus on those projects to get them finished by the end of the year. Also, any craft is included in this make-along, so any possible craft that you can think of is certainly welcome and encouraged to participate, include all of those different projects in your Make 9 grid. I would love to see the projects that you would like to work on this year, and I'd love to see any of the progress that you are making on those projects, so please feel free to join in, and thanks again to everybody who has been participating so far this year. It's been so much fun to see all of the work that you guys have been doing on those projects. I went ahead and pulled a prize again today in light of one of my finished objects that I'm so excited to share with you. I held lace weight mohair double with one of my finished objects, and so I thought it'd be fun to give away a couple of undyed hanks of lace weight. This is a kid mohair silk blend, and they're each 50 grams of lace weight yarn that are perfect for holding double with fingering weight yarn, or there's several different kinds of patterns that have included mohair held double with another strand of yarn. And so anyway, I also included a couple of progress keepers that I made. And so I went ahead and randomly chose a winner from the Instagram hashtag for the Make 9 2020 Mal, and the winner is TRICIA of Joy in the Stitches. So congratulations, TRICIA. She was so kind to have sent a prize over for the Make 9 2020 Mal earlier this year, and so I was so excited to see your name come up as one of the winners. So congratulations, TRICIA. I do have your address, so I will go ahead and get these off in the mail to you as soon as possible. Congratulations to you. Please go ahead and continue to enter your projects, and that way you can be entered to win a prize as well. So as I mentioned, I do have a finished object to share with you. I'm so excited that I was able to finish the outline shawl, and this is from my personal Make 9 list. So I did make 2 Make 9 boards, one for gift knits and then one for my personal projects that I would like to make. And this is the 3rd item from my Make 9 list that I have finished. So I still have quite a few things to work on this year, but that's okay. I'm just, I forgot to mention that with this make along, it's not required that you finish everything on your board. It's not required that you finish anything on your board. Just participating in the make along is all you need to do. So anyway, I'm not sure if I'll be able to finish my 2 Make 9 boards, but I'm gonna try. So anyway, I'm happy that I was able to finish this beautiful shawl. This is a free pattern by Beata Jezek of Hedgehog Fibers, And I've been working on this for a few months, and so I'm super excited that I was able to finish it. I used tons of fingering weight scraps held double with the lace weight silk kid mohair blend. And as you can see, I just did a gradient from I started with these pink and red colors, and I ended up having quite a few of those, and so I started limiting how many scraps I was putting in for each color so that the shawl wouldn't be too large. But I'm so happy with how it turned out, and I really love the gradient of colors. It was a super simple pattern. The original pattern does not call for you to hold the mohair with the fingering weight yarn, but I did just because I thought it would work well to blend those colors, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. I still use the recommended needle size, which was a US 6 4mm needle, and I did not really check gauge on that, but since it's a shawl, it doesn't matter. Now this is super warm, and so I'm gonna try it on real quick just to show you, but I won't be able to keep it on because it's warm. But it'll be great for winter. But it's a nice long wrap, so you know, I could easily just wear it over the shoulders like this and be super cozy. It's almost like a blanket, but then it's also nice to wrap around. It's very similar in size, which I was hoping for, to the starting point wrap that I made several years ago, which is a pattern by Joji Locatelli. Anyway, I really like the shape and size of that wrap, and so I kind of wanted this to mimic the same length of that. So it works really well to wrap it around like this. Super cozy and colorful. So that gives you kind of an idea. There's a lot of different ways you can style a wrap like this, but it'll be really cozy come winter. But right now it's way too hot. So just a quick look at what it looks like on. And that's all I'm going to show you because I can't handle the heat right now. All right, is there anything else really? I mean, I think that you guys have heard me talk about this if you've tuned in before for several weeks. I have, like I said, been working on it for a few months. I can look to see. I started it at the end, well, May 20th is when I started it. And so anyway, it's been 2 months at least since I've been working on it. Well, a little less than 2 months, but you get the idea. Anyway, yeah. It will go with everything, right? I hope that I'm able to get a lot of use out of it. Looking at the finished product, it is a little bit out of my comfort zone to have such a bright piece. So I hope I get a lot of use out of it. It's super fun, but I'm not 100% sure if I'm gonna get a lot of use out of it or not, just because it is so bright and colorful. I don't know. I felt like it was gonna go with everything prior to making it, and now that I have it done, I mean, it will go with everything, but on the other hand, it's like, it's pretty wild. So I don't know. We'll see. It was super fun to make though. I guess it was more of a process knit than a finished object that I'm going to, I mean, I'm really, really happy with it, but I just kind of wonder, I'm kind of questioning how much I'm going to use it, but we'll see. I'm happy with it though, and it was so nice to be able to use up all of these scraps. So. And it was a super easy, very easily memorizable pattern. It's just a 2-row repeat that you just continue for the length of it. So I didn't measure the full length of it, but it's longer than my wingspan. So if I start on the purpley end, I can get over to the pink side, but then there's still all of this length. So it's quite long, but not too terribly long. Like I said, I really limited how much I put into it after I realized that it was going to turn out too long if I included all of the yarn that I had set aside for this project. But anyway, this is going to go into storage until the fall, and it looks so pretty just folded up. We could just really use it as a blanket around the house too. It's definitely big enough for the kids to use as a blanket. So, I mean, it's not very wide, but it would work. So hopefully we'll get a lot of use out of it one way or another. My next finished object I'm wearing, and I'm so thrilled with how this shirt turned out. This is called Ripples in the Stream Shell, and it is a pattern by Doris Chan. It is crocheted from the top down. Last time I recorded an episode, I was still up here in the yoke area. I had not yet separated for the sleeves, but I thoroughly enjoyed making this top. It was so enjoyable. The lace pattern was easy, you know, not too difficult, but you did have to concentrate on what you were doing a little bit, but it was really, the pattern was so well written. I have crocheted a top before, but I did not like it at all. So this is my first successful crocheted top. This is what I consider, well, I have made other, I did make a cardigan out of cotton yarn before that I do wear occasionally, but I've made a couple of other cotton tops that I do not wear at all. So really, I'm just so thrilled that I was able to make this out of cotton yarn, and I'm so happy with the fit of it and the drape of it, and yet it still has a bit of structure too, so I'm so happy with it. I use some Deep Stash yarn that I've had for several years. I actually won this yarn on an Instagram giveaway. It's from We Are Knitters. It's called the Cotton Wool. It's 100% Peruvian Pima cotton, 100 grams per skein, and I had 4 skeins, but I only used less than 3. The colorway is light gray, and I guess I'm not sure about the weight of this yarn. 100 grams, 232 yards. So would that be, I think that would be between DK and worsted maybe? I'm not 100% sure. Oh, yeah. I think it'd be between a DK and a worsted, but it's not listed on the ball band what they consider the weight of it to be, that I can see anyway. The pattern called for DK weight. I think this is a little bit thicker than normal DK weight, but anyway, it worked for me. I used a G hook, I believe. Yes, G 4mm hook. I made the medium size, but again, I think I never really did take gauge. I had mentioned last time that I couldn't quite figure out how to take gauge with this pattern. I could now that I've made it. I could measure it. But anyway, I think my gauge was probably a little bit looser than the original because this yarn is a little bit thicker than a normal DK weight, I think. Anyway, I'm so pleased with how it turned out. So again, you just knit from or crochet from the top down, and you don't do anything to the sleeves. Once you separate for the sleeves, that's just the pattern. I mean, that's just the lace. That's just how you don't go back and do anything to the sleeves. They just kind of have that nice look to them, which I'm really happy with. I did shorten the pattern a bit, which is typical for me when I make garments. I usually shorten them a little because I like more of a cropped style. I'll go ahead and stand up though so you can see the waist band a little bit better. So there you can see the waistband is really thick. It's about 4 inches, I believe. And it is crocheted using single crochet stitches that are worked into the back loop only. And so that's a really typical, I found a very typical crocheted ribbing stitch. And that worked really well. And so it's kind of like an applied border where you are crocheting up and down this way. And when you come back up to the top of the garment, or to the bottom hem of the garment, you do a couple of slip stitches to attach the ribbing band to the top. So anyway, it is reversible basically. The front and the back are exactly the same. There's a little bit more room in the back here, obviously, just because of the way, you know, our bodies are shaped. I can tell that the back from the front, just because of the joining around the neckline. There's just one little spot where there's a bit of a join that I can tell the back from the front, but other than that, everything is exactly the same from front to back. So anyway, I'm super happy with it. I think it turned out really well, and it's a super great top to wear over dresses, just to add a bit of fun to an outfit. So I'm super happy with how it turned out. All right, I have another finished object here This was a super easy and simple crochet project that I worked on it took me about a day to make. So I found this really cute plant at Walmart. And let's see, I'll tell you what it is, just in case you're curious. It's called String of Bananas. That's what the plant's name is, I guess. I mean, it has a Latin name, but I'm not going to try to pronounce that. Anyway, I thought it was super cute. So I guess it's called that because these little guys look like little tiny bananas, right? So cute. Anyway, I thought it was such a cute little plant, and I thought it would work perfectly. It was on its own plastic hanger, but I thought it would be perfect for a crocheted hanging thing. So I just made up my own pattern for this. I think I can tip it over without having any dirt fall out so that you can see the underside. So I did a really simple pattern. I just did a basic crocheted circle. I did 3 rounds, I believe. 1, 2, 3 rounds for the base. So it's pretty easy to come up with a crocheted circle pattern, but basically I just used double crochet. I started off with 12, did 2 double crochet in each stitch for the second round, and then 2 double crochet, 1 double crochet alternately for the third round. Then I just did a row of single crochet, again in the circular pattern, increasing in that same way. For the fourth round, did a single crochet round, and then I just kept kind of trying it on the pot that this came in. And then I just did another row of single crochet into the back loop so that I could turn the work, so it would kind of turn up. Then I did some double crochet chain 2, I believe. I did write it down. Just chain 1. So I did a double crochet chain 1 to kind of make this little scalloped area, and then skipped stitches around, or these little posts here. And then I did a shell stitch of 5 shells, single crochet into the next stitch, that kind of a pattern. And then I just did some long chains here for this. I'll put the details of the pattern that I did, but I did a couple of rows of long chains to kind of get this work. And then up at the top, I repeated these 2 rows again with the shells up here at the top. And then I made these super long chains, and I did connect them at their joining spot so that it's already connected up here and they're joined just with a slip stitch. These have a super long chain because I'm going to be hanging, my plan is to hang this above my kitchen sink, and our ceilings are pretty tall right there above our kitchen sink. The ceiling's pretty tall. So I measured it so that it would hang just in the right spot, but I'm still waiting for my husband to help me put a hook up there where I need it. We tried just to put it into the ceiling where I wanted it, but there's not a stud right there where I wanted it, so I think it's so sweet. I'm really happy with how that turned out. And it was super fast and easy. Oh, the yarn that I used was the leftovers that I had from my crocheted granny square blanket that I showed off last time. So it is Lily Sugar and Cream in the soft ecru colorway, worsted weight. I used a H 5mm hook. And my last finished objects that I have to share with you are a little stack of some dishcloths that I've been working on. I'm just going through the remainder of my worsted weight cotton scraps to make a few dishcloths. Last time I recorded a podcast, I had just started this one that I striped with Knit Picks Dishy in the Creme Brulee color, which is the yellow, and Clarity is the light gray. I use a free pattern online called Grandmother's Favorite Dishcloth. I will link to that in the description box below. There is not a designer listed on that pattern, however. I made this one, striping it with Dishy, again, Knit Picks Dishy in the linen colorway, which is this light tan color. And then I think it's Peaches and Cream, probably Mint is the other color. So I started striping those, and then I ran out of the mint, and so I just finished up that corner with the linen color. I think that one turned out really cute. Here's a very colorful one, using up just tons of scraps that are all kind of in the, I thought they all kind of were in the warm, warm colors, I guess. So you had little tiny mini pieces of yarn that I put into this, and yeah, used up tons of little pieces for that. I even like the reverse side of this one because I thought that it kind of looked more faded on the back side. But anyway, these are so fun and, you know, easy to whip up. And the last one I made using, I don't know, I think maybe chartreuse is the color of that one. Again, that one's peaches and cream, that bright green color. And then up here I have Jelly Bean Multi, I think it's called, from Knit Picks Dishy, and I have no idea what that purple is, but probably peaches and cream in a light purple color. Anyway, I really like the striped look of the dishcloths. It is a little bit trickier just to manage those two balls. They get tangled up a bit, but it's not too bad. So those are all of my finished objects to share with you this time. So I'll go on to works in progress. I think I only have one work in progress that I showed to you last time. Did I finish everything else? I guess so. Yeah, I guess so. So I have my large granny square crocheted blanket that I am making for my brother-in-law and his family. This was started by my youngest son. He had an idea to make a blanket for his cousins. This family has 4 young girls. Their oldest is actually just a few months younger than our youngest, so they have 4 really young girls. And anyway, my son really wanted to make a blanket for this family, and so this is my husband's brother and their family. And he's actually in the active army and stationed in North Carolina. And so anyway, this will be a surprise gift for them, totally random, because, you know, I wouldn't normally just send them a gift in the middle of the summer, or whenever I get it done. Who knows when I'll get it done. But anyway, I am happily working on this though. It's such an easy project. I am using up tons of deep stash of worsted weight yarn. It is a variety of yarns. I will put all of the different yarns that I am using in the description box below, but I won't go over all of them again. I did go over all of them last time I recorded, but I won't repeat that again. But if you're interested to see what I'm using, you can look down below. But they are all 100% acrylic yarn. All of them are worsted weight except for one is a bulky weight, but it doesn't seem to make much of a difference with the gauge. Last time I recorded, I had just finished this row right here. There's a little progress keeper marking where I was. So I've made quite a bit of progress considering how big it is now, because of course every row gets longer and longer, bigger and bigger. So just a simple granny square. And I'm just doing one color per round, or, you know, every time I go around the square, I change colors. So the yarn is completely random. The kids are helping me choose which color I pick next, or I use next. I do try to have a separation of 4 rows, I guess I should say, in between a color repeat. So for example, these 2 burgundy rows are the closest I would put a repeat of color, because there's 3 different colors of rows in between those. So I try to get the colors to be separated a little bit so they're not repeated too close to one another. But I'll stand up again so that you can see how big this is so far. Ooh, it looks cool like that, doesn't it? Oh, I'm happy with how it's coming along. It's looking great. I love it. Oh, that's so fun. This is just such a simple pattern. I mean, I'm sure most of you are familiar with a granny square, and it's just so fun to just go around and around. And I think it's visually so cool looking. I love it. It's so fun sometimes to hold up your work in front of a camera because you could look at it in a new light. So anyway, that's fun. I'm using, again, an H 5mm hook. That's my standard for when I'm working with worsted weight yarn. For me, anyway. Let's see. Oh, I'm planning to make it 6 feet long and wide. that's my plan. And right now I measured it a few days ago and it was 4 foot something. So I still have a ways to go, but I still have tons of yarn. Here is my big basket I'm storing this in. And this is filled up with most of the yarn that I have. So you can see I still have quite a bit of yarn, but I still have I have tons and tons of this one, Vanna's Choice, in the dark gray heather colorway. I have a whole nother bag, probably with at least 8 more skeins in it of that yarn. So if I do happen to run out of all of this yarn, which I don't think I will, but it's kind of hard to gauge at this point. But anyway, I could just end with a lot of this to, you know, as a thick dark border, and I think that would still look great. So I'm not worried about running out of yarn at all, and it's such a great stash buster. I'm able to use up all this yarn that I really didn't know what I was going to use it for, so I'm so happy to be using it up. Oh, and I should mention that when I told you last time that my son picked out all these colors, and I was so impressed with how neutral everything was. But his favorite color is red, and so he picked out this burgundy color, and I was like, oh, I don't know what I haven't been to their house. I don't know what their house colors are. What if that burgundy doesn't go with it? I was like, are you sure? I don't think we should put that in. And he was so adamant, so I put it in. And then they sent us a clip of their youngest daughter who just turned 1 and she just learned how to walk. And in the clip, you can see their living room, and they have a burgundy rug in their living room, and they have like a leather couch. So there's some brown in there. It's perfect. So I said to my son, look, they've got a burgundy rug. And he was like, see, Mom, I was right. I told you. It's like, you're right. I'm glad we did that. So that was super fun. All right, so my other works in progress are all new cast-ons, which is super exciting. This adorable new bag is a new thing that I recently purchased, and it just so happens, totally random, I promise, that this is also from TRICIA of Joy in the Stitches. She had a shop update a few weeks ago, and she had a few of these types of bags. There were a few different types of critters. So this is more of like woodland animals. And then she had one with dogs and one with birds. And it was so hard for me to decide which one I liked best, but I couldn't pass this one up. I mean, look at these cute guys. They're so sweet. I love them so much. Isn't that adorable? Anyway, in here is a new sock I'm working on. And I'm so excited. This is also from my Make 9 list, so I'm super excited about that. This is the Tubular Socks by TABITHA GANDEE. And I am so happy with how this is turning out. I am using Knit Picks Stroll Tweed for these. The different colorways I have here are, the main color is Oyster Heather. And then these beautiful colorwork stripes are made up with, the top one is Sequoia Heather, Lavender Fields Heather, the gray is Down Heather, and this beautiful blue color is called North Sea Heather. And I am so excited about these. So in the pattern, Tabitha mentions that she used 9-inch circulars to make her socks. And I have made one sock with 9-inch circulars before, and that was back in 2017, and I did not enjoy the process. I don't even remember if I made the whole sock. I'm pretty sure I started one sock with 9-inch circulars. I really disliked it, and I quit. And I said, these are not for me. But then in thinking about casting these on, like I mentioned, she mentions in her pattern that she used them. And I was a little bit worried about the color work because I usually change my needle size for color work. And she does not say to change your needles for the color work section. I usually go up a couple of needle sizes because my color work tension is usually very tight. Last time I worked with the 9-inch circulars, my gauge was very loose. And so I thought, well, if I use the 9-inch circulars, maybe it will be loose enough in the color work section that would be good. So I was thinking that. And then I was also thinking that I've mentioned before that I had the last pair of socks that I just finished that I showed last time, I made using DPN needles because I was encouraged to do so because of the summer sock cal that Kay of the Crazy Sock Lady is hosting. And she has 3 tutorials that she put on her YouTube channel for 3 different methods of knitting socks. I generally knit, my preferred way of knitting socks is 2 at a time on, using the magic loop method. And so I thought it would just be good to try out, well, I wanted to try out the DPN method just because I had never had success using DPNs and I wanted to try to get better at that. And so I thought, well, this is a great opportunity for me to try 9-inch circulars again and just give them another try now that I have 3 more years of experience. Not quite, but it was in the fall of 2017 that I tried 9-inch circulars. And so it's been almost 3 years since I've tried them. I thought, I have a lot more experience now to try out the 9-inch circulars. Anyway, it's going really well. I'm really, really enjoying it. They're knitting up super quickly for me, I think. I don't typically knit socks that quickly, it doesn't seem like, but these are really working up pretty quickly. I'm making the 3rd size, which is medium, 64 stitches. It starts from the top down, obviously, 1x1 ribbing. I did 20 rows of 1x1 ribbing, and then you go right into, well, you just do a few rows of stockinette before you do the color work. And of course, that was so much fun to do. It worked up, I just whizzed right through the color work because it was so addictive to try to, get to the next color. And then it's just plain stockinette for the rest of the sock. I did 40 more rows of stockinette before I started the heel. The heel is what won me over with this sock pattern because it was so unique, nothing I had ever seen before, and I really wanted to give it a try. I remember before I ever learned to knit that I saw the herringbone stitch and thought it was so gorgeous, and I've never tried it before. And I was so excited to give this pattern a try because of this heel flap. It was pretty fiddly. It was pretty difficult to do that heel flap, especially on the 9-inch circulars. I got more than halfway through the heel flap using the 9-inch circulars before I switched over to DPNs for the heel flap, and that did make it a lot easier. It is so pretty. I really, really like it. Okay, so I am now knitting along down the foot, and I have decided to include a slip stitch pattern on the ball of my foot again. This is the 2nd time I've done that. And I don't really know if it's going to help me out, but the reason I do that is because the place where I wear a hole in my socks is the ball of my foot. And so I'm hoping that adding a bit of a slip stitch detail to the ball of my foot will help them to wear a little bit longer. So you can just see that here, that I've done a bit of slip stitch detailing along the ball of the foot there. And I will do that until I get to the toe, and then I'll do the toe decreases. Now, the only thing about 9-inch circulars is that I always try my socks on, because I found that with different yarns, the gauge, I don't always knit the same number of rows for the foot. So I'm always trying my socks on to know when to start the toe. And you can't do that with 9-inch circulars because it's too small. Oh, these are ChowGoo brand, by the way. All of the knitting needles I use are ChowGoo. So I guess I'm going to put it on Magic Loop or DPNs or something like that to try it on. I did actually do that when I was on the heel flap because I was a little bit concerned about the fit, but it fits really well. I'm really loving these. They're coming along really well. They're so pretty. I'm really happy with them. I love this yarn. It's so much fun. The tweed yarn is so cool. I think that's all for those. I should show you the inside of this bag. It's such pretty fabric on the inside as well. Love it. My next work in progress is in this bag from Allison Barnes' collection. I also won this on an Instagram giveaway. I've been very blessed to win a few giveaways over the years, but they were both from a long time ago. Anyway, I think they were probably both from 2016 maybe, actually. I started a new shawl that is a little bit random. Well, I shouldn't say it was random. I have been thinking about making this for quite a while. So, a long time ago, I don't even remember why I purchased this yarn. I can't remember what project I had in mind. I really have no idea why I bought this yarn. I bought 2 skeins or cakes of this yarn. It's also from Knit Picks. It's called Curio. And it's in the colorway Tea Rose. It's a lace weight yarn, 100% cotton. It says it's a number 10 crochet thread. It's a beautiful color. I love this color so much. I really wonder what project I had in mind for this, but anyway. I don't think I'm going to need the second cake. I think this pattern is only going to require, according to the pattern, it's only going to require 1 cake of yarn because it is 721 yards for 100 grams. And this is, I am making a shawl by BOOKNITS. It's called, I looked it up for the pronunciation because I wasn't sure. It's called Das Macabre. And it's a gorgeous, gorgeous shawl. And it uses beading. I have not done a beaded project since early last year. It was my first time doing a beaded project. I put beads into a hat that I knit. And I really enjoyed that process, but like I said, it's been a while. And another project from my Make 9 list that I'm hoping to start pretty soon actually is the Autumn Whirlpool sweater. I forget the name of it, but anyway, it is a top-down yoke sweater that has cabling along the yoke, and I really want to add beading to the yoke. It's not called for in the pattern, but I want to add my own beading because I think that would be so gorgeous. And so I kind of wanted to have a refresher of how to use beads and knitting before I started that project, and so I thought it'd be a good idea to make a pattern that already calls for beading, so I didn't have to think about it quite as much. So, and I just saw, I discovered BOOKNITS, I don't know, a few months ago and had favorited a lot of her patterns, and it took me a while to decide which pattern to make of hers, but I just really fell in love with this pattern. So I haven't, gotten too far into it yet. The first section that I've just finished is all garter stitch, so that was super easy, but it gave me an opportunity to kind of get used to adding beads without having to worry about the stitches so much. So I started off using some different beads. I had purchased these specifically to go with this yarn, but the problem is that they went a little bit too well with the yarn. They are gorgeous. I love them so much. I ordered them from an Etsy shop called Seed Paradise, and they are Toho beads, size 6 in the smoky topaz rainbow color. But the problem is they just blended in too much with this yarn, and I didn't think that they were showing up very well. So I only put them in the first 2 rows of beading. Here's one, that's the very first one, or first row, and then you can, like I said, you can't see them very well, but there's a second row of them. And then I decided to change to this more bronze goldy color because I thought, well, actually it was because of this progress keeper I put on there to mark the right side, and I really liked how that bronze color looked against the yarn. I thought that stood out a bit better, and I just made that progress keeper myself, by the way. But anyway, I thought that these beads would just show up a bit better. And I'm so much happier with how those are looking. Now these beads are they're just from Walmart. They're not really marked very well. Like I can't see a color name or number for these. I'm gonna go grab the little thing. I just got another tube of these yesterday from Walmart because the pattern says you need 900 beads. I'm not even sure how many are in this little tube. They're just this bronze color. Let's see, the brand is cousindiy.com, it says. Glass e-beads. They're also size 6. That's all it really says. So, I don't know. But they're working well. I'm happy with them. Oh, I should mention that TRICIA was so sweet to include this adorable little notions pouch along with my bag, which was a gift from her, and it's so pretty. And so I'm using that for this project. It kind of goes well with this project bag too. And in here is where I'm using a crochet hook, a 0.9 millimeter crochet hook to add the beads, and that is going super well. Last time I did a beaded project, I did not use a crochet hook. I tried and I couldn't get it to work, but this time it's working really well. And then I have these little tins from David's Tea that work so well for the beads. It's so nice because you can just have that sitting, I just have that sitting next to my project, and then I can just scoop up a little bead whenever I need it. Anyway, I've got a few stitch markers in this little bag too, which comes in so handy. So thank you again, TRICIA. That was so nice of you. Okay, I'm using the recommended needle size, which are US 5, 3.75 millimeter needles. And you can see here I've got a lifeline that I put in. I thought that would be a good idea because I've just started the lace patterning. You can't even hardly see it because I've only done a few rows, but I put that lifeline in right after, on the last row of the first, no, I'm on the second section, but it's the end of the garter stitch section. So once I got to the end of that easy part and was starting the lace, I decided to put in a lifeline. And I think I'll continue using that throughout this pattern because it is going to be lace from here on out, I'm pretty sure. So I thought that would be smart to keep that in there, and I'll just move it down as I make progress. So I'm loving this. I'm thinking this is probably going to be a pretty long-term project. And I said to myself, this is going to be the last project I cast on that's not on my Make 9 list. We'll see. But it would be a good idea if I would just focus on my Make 9 list a little bit better. But anyway, I'm loving this. I'm really enjoying it. I'm excited that it's 100% cotton and lace weight, so it'll be perfect to wear year round, I think. And I'm loving the beads so much. It's so much fun. But now I do need to concentrate since I'm into the lace section a bit more, so, but that's okay. I like a project that I really need to concentrate on sometimes. So that is all of the knitting and crocheting. I do have a tiny bit of embroidery to share with you, which is a brand new craft for me. I've never tried embroidery at all before that I can recall. I have a distant memory of trying to make a French knot when I was a child and it did not go well. But other than that, I've done a little bit of cross stitch in the past, but not often, and that also quite a long time ago. So anyway, like I've mentioned, was at Walmart recently, and just yesterday, in fact, and I got the plant from Walmart, not just yesterday. That was like a week ago. But then again yesterday, I went and got those beads, and while I was getting the beads, I was in the craft section, and I stumbled across these little embroidery kits, and they caught my eye. So the first one I started, I'm keeping it in this cute little bag from My Creative Frenzy. And it's the perfect size to fit this little kit. And here it is. This is from Leisure Arts. And it's called Blush Roses. And I thought those were so beautiful. And it comes with everything that you need, kind of. It comes with a hoop and all of the floss that you need. And it's on this nice little card that keeps it nice and organized. I like that a lot. It came with the fabric that is printed with the design. And here that is. And I've just done 2 little leaf sections with a satin stitch, which I think it sounds fancy, but it's just a really easy stitch. Can't see that very well, but you get the idea, I guess. And it came with a needle and the instructions. The needle is rubbish. I did, on my very first try of getting this needle through the fabric, it bent. It was just like total flimsiness. You can just bend it with nothing. So that's going in the trash. But I did have another needle that seems to be working. However, it is, oh no, what happened to my needle? Oh, here it is. It's really difficult to get this needle through this fabric. It's a really tight weave, I guess. And I really have to pull quite a bit to get it through. But that was the problem with that other needle too, was that I was pulling on it and it was bending. Now, the instructions say that you're supposed to put the fabric into the hoop, and I tried that. You can probably kind of see that I had it, well, the fabric's a bit wrinkled where I had it on the hoop, but the hoop was not keeping it because I have to pull so hard. The fabric was coming right out of the hoop. So I've just been doing it in my hand like this, and that's going well. I wish it was a bit easier to get the needle through the fabric, and I have thinner needles, but the eye isn't big enough to fit the embroidery thread through it. So this one's just big enough to fit the embroidery thread through it, but it's working. So anyway, I'm excited for this project. We'll see how it comes along. I'm not sure. But I'm excited to try embroidery. I've always admired embroidery, but never given it a try. So I'm excited for that. The colors are a bit different than the picture, I think. Well, especially this reddish color. I think on this picture they look more of a purple color. And I noticed that before I bought it, that red was a little bit different. And I thought about buying a different color for those roses, but I suppose I still could. Because those will, I think I'll probably do those last. It doesn't tell you what order to do these things, and it just says pick one of the things to make and go ahead and make it, pretty much. But in just looking at it, I thought that you could tell that these leaf sections were kind of in the background, so I thought it makes sense to do those first, and then I think I'll do the green leaves next. Do the roses, and then these are, again, French knots, so we'll see if I can do those any better this time around. I can look up a YouTube tutorial or something like that if I have problems with it. That was something that was definitely not available when I was a child trying to make them, so anyway. Yeah, I'm super excited about that. And I did get a few other kits as well. Another one from Leisure Arts, similar to the one I just showed you, but this one I love even more. I wanted to make that one, the first one first, because I wanted to save this one until I have a little bit more experience, but I love this one so much. And I can't see the colors very well, but I do see that peach color, which I love, so I'm hoping that all the other ones, well, I could open it. I'll cut this out while I open it. Yep. Yeah, those colors look good. They look like they match really well to the original design. They're beautiful. I love them. Here is the fabric. Oh, I think maybe it's a bit different. Yeah, this fabric is a bit different. Hopefully it will be easier to go through. So that's so fun. Oh, that's gorgeous. Even that just by itself is pretty. Anyway, so yeah, I'm planning to wait to do this one though until I have that first one done, and hopefully I'll have a bit more experience. Or be more well equipped to do this project. And then I got a cross stitch kit as well. I love cross stitch, I love doing it, but I have a hard time finding cross stitch patterns that I really like. But they had this one and I really liked it. I'll take this out of the package too. Here. Oh, I think that's so pretty. It says, "Be a light to the world." So pretty. I love it. So the fabric that comes with it is 14 count Aida fabric, and it's actually navy blue. And so I loved how the leaves are formed in like the negative space of the stitching. And also, I don't know if you can see, but the background just has it's just not a cross stitch, it's just, I don't know what that's called, it's just like half of the cross. So it reminds me of plastic canvas stitching that I also did when I was a child and really enjoyed. So I think that's super cool. But then in this area, it is cross stitch. So that's fun. Again, this comes with everything that you need. Here's the navy blue fabric. And here are all the beautiful colors. Kind of wrapped on this paper, but there's all the pretty colors that go in it. There's not very much of it, but these are really long strands. They're wrapped around the instructions. So anyway, that'll be so fun. I'm excited for that too. That'll be good. So those are the few new things that I picked up. So I think that's all that I have to share with you all this time. We have been doing great. Let's see. Super exciting news. Thank you to those of you that commented on my kids learning how to ride their bikes. And last night we went back to that infamous church parking lot and our oldest son, the last one of our clan, learned how to ride his bike too. So we're so excited for him. That was such an accomplishment. Oh, so exciting. That church parking lot just is the key to success. It's just such a huge lot that is empty, and because both times I think we've gone on like a Saturday or Sunday night. We went just last night. So it was Sunday night and the church parking lot was completely empty, and so we could just ride around. And I think that just makes such a huge difference. As I mentioned before, we live out in the country, and so there's just not a lot of paved space around us. We have a gravel drive, and otherwise it's just kind of hilly, grassy area. We do have a sidewalk that goes around our house a little bit, but there's not a ton of space. Anyway, so that was just so exciting that now all 5 of our kids can ride a bike. I'm so excited. We have continued to raise our little monarch caterpillars. They're doing pretty well. We currently have 10 chrysalises, so that's super exciting. We have a few more caterpillars that are continuing to eat and grow. We have had a few fatalities, many more than last year when we raised caterpillars, which is sad to see, but I guess that's just part of life. But anyway, our oldest chrysalis is a week old today. I can't quite remember how many days they stay in the chrysalis, but that chrysalis is still green. It is such an amazing thing to watch. In fact, just before I sat down to record this, we got to see one of our caterpillars that was hanging turn into a chrysalis. It happens so quickly, and it's just so unbelievable how that happens. I didn't capture it on video, but it's just like this caterpillar is hanging and it kind of makes a J shape. And then all of a sudden this green stuff starts coming out of its back, and it just wraps around the caterpillar and creeps up to the top, and then the head of the caterpillar and its antenna fall off. And then it forms this gorgeous chrysalis. They are just such, the monarch chrysalis is this beautiful green color, and then it's got these tiny, tiny, minuscule metallic gold dots along the top and along the bottom. It's just breathtaking to see that form. It's incredible. Anyway, we have absolutely loved watching that process so far. We haven't had our first butterfly hatch yet. We did have I did get a clip of a monarch butterfly that was around our flowers, but we haven't had one hatch from our little group of caterpillars yet, but probably soon, I would guess. I'll have to look back at last year's, my journal from last year to see how long it takes for the chrysalis to hatch. But anyway, that's been super exciting. We finally got to go back to church yesterday for the first time, which was wonderful to go back to church. We do have some restrictions, of course, so it's a lot different than it used to be, but I was still so grateful to be able to go back to church in person. So that's been great. I think that is all I have to share with you all. I hope you all have been doing well, and I thank you so much for joining me today. I really hope that you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please feel free to give me a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. I would appreciate that so much. I hope you all are doing well, and thanks again for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.